How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Day Dave, and have you ever been to a party or been with a group of friends and been asked, if you ever came across a magical lamp and you summoned the genie and they granted you 3 wishes, what would those wishes be? Well, I think it would be obvious that one of the first ones to be would be to ask for 1,000,000 wishes. I mean, why not? You got to test the boundaries every once in a while, but it got me to thinking, well, if I were to find that magical lamp and ask the genie, you know, what could I ask for within the realm here in Farming Simulator? And it got me to thinking, well, the maps. What maps would I wish for that would be brought back from Farm Sim past into Farm Sim 25? And that's what this video is going back into the past and seeing what maps would I want to be brought back for Farming Simulator 25. And yeah, we're going to go through a brief history. So I started Farming Simulator back in FS19 days. Started playing it in FS19. I didn't start my channel until it was Farm Sim 22. So those are the 2 iterations of Farm Sim that I've played before the most recent one here in Farming Simulator 25. And that is what this video is going to show, are those 2 iterations of Farm Sim brought into the Farm Sim 25 universe. So what I thought was, well, why don't I pick 5 from each of the iterations I've played and kind of go from there? And yeah, that is what we're going to do here today. So first things first, we are going to start with Farming Simulator 19. So here we are in no particular order. We're going to start out with La Coronella. And we're going to read the description for each one of these. Starting with this one, says, "Welcome to La Coronella. This map is a figment of your imagination. Nothing to find on it is based on a specific location. I hope you enjoy this map and its features. In La Coronella, you will find 2 predefined farms where you can store all kinds of products, both in silos and in bunkers. In both cases, in order to use the silos, you must be the owner of the land where you are located. If you sell said land, you will not be able to use said storage silos. Enjoy the 2 biogas plants distributed on the map. 2 compost plants, 1 compost plant, which converts wood, chips, sugarcane, straw, and manure, and several forest areas for afforestation. In addition, you can also enjoy 5 new crops such as millet, sorghum, rye, rice, and triticale. When it comes to selling your products, you can choose from a large number of agricultural stations, some of them for specific products. You will also find silos for the purchase of seeds, fertilizers, etc. Don't forget that these places will have opening and closing hours, just like the farm store. As for the animals, you must take a walk around the map to locate the different stables distributed on the map. In order to use them, you must be the owner of the land where they are located. Buy and sell the different animals in specific places on the map. You cannot miss the transport missions where you can find several custom ones. As a novelty, in the main farm you can enjoy the production of cheese and olive oil, which are obtained from milk and sunflower respectively. Finally, enjoy the beautiful landscape with varied decorations and different animations." Now, the reason I'm reading this is because you can infer a lot of information just from the description by itself. And for this map in particular, there's a ton of stuff going on. Now, I will be honest with you right off the bat. La Coronella was in FS19, as I'm reading it right now, but it was also in FS22. I will take either one of them, but I needed to kind of free up some slots there for the FS22, so I'm placing La Coronella here in 19, but preferably what I would have brought over to 25 would be kind of a more remnant of the 22, just to kind of have the kind of latest and greatest kind of thing. But again, this is a wish list for the maps that are coming into 25, where it is going to have all the bells and whistles that are specific to FS25 on top of that. So as you can see on the map, it consists of a whole bunch of different shapes and sizes for your fields. And with this comes a lot of work that can be done around the map. You've got grass fields, you've got forestry, you've got actual arable farmlands, and all of them are nice and unique shapes. What you'll also notice is that throughout the map, you have all these different windy, twisty, bendy roads that will lead you into specific areas of the map. And what's really nice about this map is that you can't just, hop on going in a certain direction on a road and expect it to get you to your end destination. You have to actually pay attention to where you are on the map, where roads lead to where, because there's certain roads that will only take you to certain areas, and you've got to pay attention. You got to know where you're going, which is a really cool feature. This map was one of the first ones that I kind of fell in love with, where it was starting to become far more complex than just a basic map. And again, I started playing this in FS19, so having the ability to then kind of break away from the simple, square fields and kind of sectioned off kind of maps, the kind of more introductory style of maps where you're going to kind of learn and cut your teeth. This was one of the first where I really was like, okay, I'm really going to get into this. I'm really going to see what this is all about. And then on top of that, I mean, like I said, you get backcountry roads, you get main paved roads, you get, even roads that are cut through some of the like rivers and stuff like that, which is really cool. It's just got a little bit of everything on this map, and just the views on it in places are absolutely gorgeous. Now, as you can see from this screenshot here, I went out into the mod hub there to grab several screenshots so I can kind of show off what these maps look like. But you can see just how intricate the starting farm is here. As you can see, there's tons of storage, there's tons of silo, tons of space for you to be able to utilize and to grow your operations. And again, you can see down at the bottom there, there's that kind of creek that runs right alongside your farm. And in there, you'll also notice that there's a kind of 2-track that runs right through that creek, and that takes you out into some of the fields that are right next to your farm there. So being able to cut through the creek there and being able to see all the beauty and splendor that is on this map is just an amazing map. And in this screenshot, you can see another view of the main starting farm. So that river is actually directly behind some of these green barns in the background there. But you just get all sorts of different storage options and being able to just kind of have everything at the ready. What was also really cool about this farm, about this map in particular, is that your farm had all sorts of these different storage options. So they had a bunch of silos that were just kind of built in, that like each silo took a very specific product, and each one of them had their own fill planes, so you'd just be able to dump into them, and you had your product at the ready just kind of sitting there in heaps underneath these little covered awnings. And it looked amazing. It was really cool, and it just had all your basic needs right there, right from the start. Being able to grow and expand, and all your grains were kind of kept off in a separate silo off on the backside of the property there, which was, again, just a really unique kind of approach to things. This is one of the first maps I can think of where you had individual compartments and individual storage options for your actual goods that you were producing for your farm, which I just thought that was such a cool idea and concept back in the day. And then on top of all that, on top of having all this storage, which gives you plenty of room to build and grow and do all this different stuff throughout your farm, you also have all the kind of niceties and complexities of your farm being kind of perched on top of this, like almost like plateau. It's right at the very top of this hill, and everywhere you see around you, you can just see all the various valleys and everything that's around you. And it's just everywhere you look, you have gorgeous views every single time. And then lastly, not only did you have all the various types of productions that are listed all throughout the map, you even had several that were around your farm, which is really cool because you had these little ferty mixers and you had seed mixers and arty masters, like all these different things around your farm that would get you all your basic products right off the bat. But then on top of that, the map maker also included a bunch of productions and a bunch of different areas that you had to purchase the land in order to access them. Once you access them, they were all specific to this map. So you could produce all sorts of products that were not a part of the base game. It was all very unique and, in my mind, very kind of groundbreaking as the things that you can do. And I mean, like I said, you had all the basic components to have your farm and be able to grow and build it out from there. I mean, the farm itself was pretty well established, but you would be able to delete some things here and rearrange some things there if you ever needed to. But for the most part, there really would be no need to do it because you'd be able to utilize the farm and then just grow your operations, getting bigger and bigger. And then you also had things such as like dairy sheep. It was one of the first maps I can think of that had its own kind of entity for, milking other animals besides cows. And you could then use that for, downstream productions and all this stuff. It was absolutely amazing map. It was just gorgeous every way you looked. Just so much stuff. The undulations, the color palette, everything on this map I felt was just spot on. And again, it just had such great bones that you didn't necessarily have to make changes, but if you wanted to, it was available to you. The next map we have is the Pacific Northwest 19 by Epideath. And the description reads, "Welcome to the Pacific Northwest 19. This is a fictitious map loosely based around the Lewiston, Idaho, and eastern Washington area where the Snake and Clearwater rivers meet. At the rivers, there is a plateau that is high above, accessed by a winding mountain road. The plateau has small to medium-sized fields. Where the valley fields are much larger and relatively flat and open. The terrain on the plateau can be a little challenging. A little extra horsepower or the use of the train can be very useful. The map is based upon the FS17 version. It is similar in many ways, but also quite different. The map includes the following: standard FS19 features, 35 fields, three are small fields of grass. Fields range from 0.45 to 20.7 hectares. Many fields can easily be joined together and make bigger fields. 5 cell points. The 2 on the plateau allow for train and trailer cells. The train can be your friend, plus a sawmill, spinnery, dairy, and garden center, and large BGA. An old-growth pine forest and tree farm for plenty of logging fun. There are several fields that have wooded pine areas, so you can make a little extra money on the side or just clear the area and expand your field. Barbed wire fence post with white strip on the top can be cut with a chainsaw, and this will remove the few sections of the fence. A red arrow on the top of the post shows the direction of the removal. Poplar wood chips bales can be sold at the sawmill or agro wholesalers. Manure, slurry, digestate, and wool can be sold at the garden center. The plateau is pretty hilly, so there are a few areas other than the placeable areas that are relatively flat for placeables. A train system that goes from the silo on the plateau to the Riverport silo and back up. The train is very handy for moving products from the lower area to the plateau silo and sell points. 2 large placeable areas for when the production mods come out, or if you want to use them for anything else you wish. Water and lime stations are located in a few places around the map. All lands can be purchased on the map. There is 0 cost for the border, river, and cliff areas. Watch out for traffic. Vehicles will slow down when making turns at intersections. Otherwise, they will travel a little faster than normal. Enjoy. So when looking at the map, you'll see right here is where your main starting farm is. And right outside your starting farm, you already have this giant switchback hill that winds down into the lower valley portion of the map, down in the southeast corner of it. So everything down there in that southeast corner is relatively flat, but it's extremely large fields. You get this little forestry area down the bottom right-hand corner of the map. And over on the western side, you get a few more very large fields, again, very flat in that portion. But on the northern portion of the map, it is extremely hilly, very kind of, up and downs, left and rights, like all sorts of different terrain angles that you're going to have to worry about. So having a vehicle with extra horsepower just to have the grunt available is absolutely necessary on this map. And as it said in the description, the train is your best friend on this, whether it's to transport your goods, down into the valley and back up again. I mean, whatever the case may be, the train really does help out. And then you got all the various different, locations around the map that just really make it to where there's so much to do on this map. And there's multiple ways to get down into the valley. You had the road right down here, like I was mentioning before, that goes down into the main town area where the sell points are and the shop trigger, repair trigger stuff is, gas stations, stuff around here in town. And then over to the western portion, you get this little back road that kind of, again, switchbacks down into the valley, but is on the kind of other, I almost want to say like a peninsula, but it's just the other side of the river opposite of the main town area there. So it's just one of those, like, the landscape and the terrain are just so challenging in places that it just makes it so interesting. And this is one of the first maps where I really got a chance to be able to start to come to terms with the logistics behind the game itself. Like, okay, well, I'm going to need to have extra horsepower. I can't just get away with the bare minimum. It's not a flat map, so I'm going to have to put some thought into my purchases. I'm not just going to be able to get away with just the cheap and easy stuff. And then on top of that, having to worry about not just perfectly square fields. This is one of the first maps that I encountered where it was not just square fields, but you had angular fields, you had fields with points in them, you had like all these different kind of shapes that were not just a basic square or rectangle. And before this, I was basically just kind of getting used to the game and trying to understand. So I was sticking with relatively basic American style maps where it was just large fields squared, maybe a little rectangle or something like that, but nothing too crazy. Now in this photo, you'll see just how the upper plateau looks when you're looking down into the lower valley. You'll see things like the main shop area off to the kind of middle left side of the screen there. Got a nice little water tower feature just in town. I mean, it's very highly detailed. Even though it's surrounded by these massive fields both on the left and the right side, it's just so much detail all in one little location. And you can kind of see down at the bottom corner there, that's the main farmhouse. I do believe there, just overlooking the river on top of that plateau. It is an absolutely gorgeous and picturesque view. Now, I do believe that this is a photo of the upper plateau and some of the kind of goings-ons there. You got a fair bit of undulations all throughout this upper plateau valley, upper plateau area. And you've got these nice little small-ish fields. The train system, like I mentioned earlier, is going through this portion of the map to where you'll be able to load up here and take it down to the lower portion of the valley and be able to do with what you need to do with all your products. You could even potentially, if you can figure out a way to get on that flat deck on the back of the train, you could even haul down some of your equipment and stuff down there as well, which might be a little bit easier than having to go up and down the switchback roads, depending on how many horsepower you have available to you. Now, this is a good photo of the secondary switchback road. This is the one that's just off to the side towards the western portion of the map. This isn't the one that's right by your main starting farm. And it is a perfect look of how much difference there is in elevation between that upper plateau and that lower valley. It is a huge shift, and going up and down these hills with a small piece of equipment, it can be very, very rough. And in the wrong conditions, if you don't have enough horsepower, you might not be making it up on some of these. It is a load of fun to sit there and to speculate whether or not you're going to make it based on how much you're towing, what kind of equipment you got with you. It can get pretty fun pretty quick. And this is one of the forestry areas where you can have tons of fun doing logging, but there's such a good variety on this map that really gives you so much that you can do. You can do arables, grass care, you can do logging, whatever the case may be. This is a good all-rounder map. And again, this is one of the few maps out there where the train is going to be your best friend. Being able to use it for hauling your grains, your logs, or your equipment is essential on this map, especially going from the lower valley to the upper plateau. It is essential because this thing will be able to get you up there even faster than if you were like taking the time to load all your equipment, your grains, and everything on here is going to save you a lot of time, especially in the beginning when you don't have the big vehicles, the big tractors, all that kind of stuff. It's going to save you that time because you're going to have to struggle to get up these hills at 1, 2, 3 miles an hour at best. And yeah, it's one of those where it really makes you think about the logistics before you go from the valley to the to plateau or vice versa, or makes you think, how are you going to do it? And that's the beauty of this map, is that it really gets you to think outside of your normal routines. And that's what I absolutely loved about it. And I would love to see this come back to Farming Simulator 25. Lone Oak Farm 19. This map was created by Bullet Bill 83 and it was converted by Oxygen David. And the description reads, "Welcome to Lone Oak Farm, a real-life replica of a farm in Oregon, USA. Full season support with many extra features. New grass textures, cut grass texture, etc. Custom ground texture, custom wheat/barley textures, author forgotten fruits. 55 fields with many missions. 3 sell points, BGA, sawmill, and other places. DOF graphics has been removed to improve FPS and distance blurriness. Bullet Bill is the creator of this map and has given me kind permission to convert it over for you. Big thank you to him." So this one is an absolute legend. Absolute legend. This one was very sorely missed in 22 and one I would love to see come back for 25. So as you can see here on the map for Lone Oak Farms, you have the massive area right here where the starting farm is located. And what I thought was almost as iconic as the single oak out in the middle of the field was this massively long driveway leading out to the main road. It just, when I first came onto this map, really just kind of caught me off guard as to just how immense this map is. And just like the Pacific Northwest map, where I was starting to really kind of cut my teeth on these kind of oddly shaped fields, ones that I'd never even thought to, look at in the past, this one even pushed my boundaries even further because of all the odd shaped fields on there. You had all these kind of roundabouts and like all these different kind of features that every single field had, with the small exceptions. But this map, I think, would be a awesome addition to FS25 because of all of the odd shapes. You could use the GPS and the enhanced workers to be able to just make very quick work of these fields. And this was the first map where I had gotten introduced to not just having a main stationary farm, but having almost a modular setup, meaning that you had a pig farm that was out towards the west, and it was all kind of self enclosed by itself. Out in the west, you had a sheep farm, and it was, like I said, this is the first time where I really kind of realized, like, whoa, there's like this whole kind of complexity of multiple farms on a singular map. I don't know why it never dawned on me that that could be a thing before this, but when I finally discovered this map and brought it up for the very first time, it was a big kind of shock to my system. And having everything on this map, everything was custom. Nothing was standard. That was something else that really stood out to me, is that this map was just in a complete league of its own when it came to the depth and realism to it. So look here at the main starting farm. You get kind of an understanding of the gravity that is this farm. It is a very big, massive operation here because you're surrounded by all these fields off to the left side of the screen here, while at the same time having this massive footprint with massive silos and a massive just structure all throughout it. And again, having these very unique shaped barns and buildings that you would not find on any other map was just something that, again, just really kind of started to take hold, is that you had these very unique features that were on these maps. And again, this is one of the first maps I'm starting to get familiar with and starting to kind of cut my teeth on, because I started playing FS19. That's where I started my FS journey, was here on this game, and getting introduced to this stuff for the first time really kind of making things click in my own brain that, whoa, there is something even deeper than just the kind of base game models and stuff like that, and just how they're kind of arranged on various maps and stuff. This was one of the first where I was like, okay, this game can get deep, like really deep. And here's another view of the main starting farm and just how much detail is out there. You had the pallets and the drums just kind of sitting out there, the fuel tank just hanging out in the middle of the farm. You got the very complex silo system with the multiple bins just kind of hanging out there, tons of storage. You got the big red barn. I mean, there was just so much stuff going on this farm that at times I was a little overwhelmed, but in a good way. I really liked that I was starting a map that was just something more than what I'd ever tackled before, and the kind of thrill that came over me when I realized, whoa, this was something that was going to require a little bit of effort on my end, was really, really awesome. And then just behind the buildings over here was this kind of back road leading into some cow pastures and stuff. It was just, again, something new that I'd never seen on any other map. And this map was just absolutely gorgeous in its time, and I could only imagine how beautiful this would be on 25. So off of the main farm was this pig farm, and completely separate, completely on its own. This, I mean, was just the first time where I was like, whoa, this could actually be like, this could be the main farm. I could go over here rather than setting up shop over on that one. And again, all this was kind of new to me. I was still trying to figure things out. And it was just all the memories that were being built because of this map, and all the kind of foundational understandings of what this game can be was being built because of maps like this. And this one, again, just stood out because of how beautiful it was, how natural it felt, was just unbelievable. So just like everything at the farm was unique, the sell points were also in a league of their own. It was nothing, no two things were the same. And again, you had these long stretches of highway, as you can see in this photo here, that just felt like it just went on forever. And then you came to these mega structures that just seemed like they just emerged from out of nowhere. Again, this map was just was so overwhelming, but was so cool at the same time, that it just kind of captured me and really kind of brought me in to this world of what Farming Simulator could be. And again, the custom buildings and the structures that were around just really gave this map a whole new profile that I'd never experienced prior to this. Being able to utilize all these buildings for whatever purposes I needed, whether they were for storage for my equipment, storage for my products, whatever the case may have been, this was just the finest example of being able to have a unique kind of build within the world of Farming Simulator. So this would be an amazing map to bring to FS25, and I would love to see it. And here we have Washoe Nevada by Alien Jim. And the description reads, Nevada is a very dry and bright map with 17 fields and 98% of the land purchasable. Includes all FS19 features with added TMR, fuel, and water sell points, also added to price stat page. There are storages on the farm for fuel, seeds, fertilizers, etc. that need to be filled or for later use, or filling machinery. Included under miscellaneous, the MKU8 and 32 universal liquid tanker to help with filling certain storages. Free water and lime on a map. You will have 2 grass types with the landscaping tool dry grass and green mobile grass. I hope you find this map enjoyable. So when you look at this map, This map just looks very, very basic in regards to the fields itself, but this map is anything but basic. There's loads of undulations, a lot of different highs and lows throughout this map. This is one of the first maps that I kind of got introduced to there being such a thing as a difference in the kind of locations that can be played on this game. Obviously I was aware, oh hey, there's like UK maps, there's American maps, but this was the first time I was like, wow, this is like kind of in a dry, arid kind of almost desert-like area. So it was one of those like something that really kind of stood out to me was the fact that this was something that basically had not been done before to any level whatsoever. Now, this fields are nice and square. Some of them are rectangular, but very easy, very worker friendly. But this was also one of the first maps where I kind of got introduced to the map makers having a sense of humor. So what I mean by the map maker having a sense of humor is when you look here at the main starting farm, you had a lot of the kind of basic, starting models and stuff like that. The main farmhouse was a part of like the main kind of package from Giants. You had Giants, shedding and barns and store silos and stuff like that. But this is the first time where I got introduced to the kind of concept of there being kind of modular storages for certain products, like a water buy point and a fertilizer, silo, and lime stations and things like that. Especially them being kind of in and around the main farm. I was used to there being buy points for these things, but not really kind of storages that were unique to the actual product itself. But the sense of humor that I'm referring to is that this map kind of has a kind of creepy factor to it, especially if you play it at night. The main starting farm here, I was playing on this quite some time ago, and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of the night, I'm just kind of playing, having some fun, and all of a sudden this bright flash goes across the screen. I have no idea what it is, and finally I'm able to catch a little glimpse of it, and it's a flying saucer that just kind of went screaming over the main farm. I had no idea it was there as a part of the game or anything like that, and then all of a sudden it's just there. And then you start doing some of the contract work, and that's when you discover something else. In areas like this is the one and only water point that you can fill up for free on the map. And in this area here, there are this little cave that you can go hide in. Just, it seems like there's almost like this paranormal aspect to not only the cave, but just to the map itself. There's just some creepy stuff that can happen on here. Like I mentioned with the flying saucer, there's other things on this map as well that just really kind of sends tingles down your spine if you really start to think about it. And here being the one point of the map where it actually doesn't look like everything is just dying off. You've got all the browns and the kind of really kind of crusty looking plants and vegetation. This is the one area, because of this kind of watering boom here, where you actually have a grass field that just looks lush and green and whatnot. And it really stands out. But again, it makes you kind of like appreciative of being out in the middle of nowhere and having all this stuff kind of at the ready. In the background, again, you can see this barn building that's back here. This was like a hayloft. And again, it was just one of those where it just introduced you to the ability of having all these unique products in their own separate facilities. This is the one map that really kind of introduced me to that, and it was just so much fun to be able to, like, okay, well, I have to go here to put my grass and hay and all that stuff away. I need to go somewhere else for other stuff, and over here for this. It was just a really fun kind of experience getting to play and learn on this map. And here we have the abandoned mine where you can go out and get your limestone and whatnot, your lime to be able to use to fertilize your fields. It was, again, just something that was new and unique to be able to have to go somewhere to have to, basically purchase or to gather your lime to be able to do certain things around your farm. If I remember correctly, though, I think this was actually a free loading spot. So you're able to get all the lime that you wanted, but you had to go way out of your way to be able to get to it. And this was the kind of final part of the map that really kind of set off the creepy factor. You can see up in the top right hand corner, that field that's in the corner there, those kind of markings that are in it, those are crop circles that are just kind of laden into the field itself. It is really cool. And then out to the right of that field, there's this giant bunker that's built into the mountainside. And if you go up to it, there's an eerie kind of sound that plays to it. Again, the map maker, Alien Jim, had a really good sense of humor, and it really kind of came out in this map. And again, it just really kind of got me introduced to the map maker not having to take the game itself so seriously that they can kind of lay into this kind of lore that was deeper than the game itself. And with all that, I mean, I would love to see this in FS25 because I really think that with all the advancements and stuff that's been made between 19 and now, this map could really be something special. It could really pop and it could have a lot of fun little like nods and winks to that kind of creepy factor, or even more kind of, things that could go bump in the night. Who knows? I mean, it's the possibilities are endless. And the last one for FS19 that I would bring back to FS25 would be Spectacle Island. And the description reads, Spectacle Island has an abandoned farm that needs a lot of work. By cutting down small trees around the yard, all of the debris will be removed. Fields you already own will require some forestry and plowing before they can be used. Plenty of space for forest work and field creations. 25 gold bullions can be found dotted across the island. These can be brought to the gold mine and then sold for extra money. Free lime station on map, standard seasons ready, custom soil map. I hope you enjoy the new version of the map. And this one was also created by Alien Jim. So there's a running theme from FS19 that I would love to see some more of Alien Jim. Now, as you can see here from the map, you basically start out, your starting farm is this entire island. And what's really cool is, I mean, you got 6 individual starting farms. All of them have their own unique products. With the exception, I think, of 2 of them have wheat, but you've got corn, you got canola, barley, and potatoes, if I remember everything correctly. And the way that you can get onto the island is it's insane. You cross a little bridge down here in the southern portion of the map there, and then you go up this little 2-track along the cliffside. So to your left is cliff, to your right is just water, and it's a sheer drop off. And it was one of the first times where I got introduced to there not being a secure way of being able to get in and out of your farm. This is the first time where if you were just flying through and just weren't paying attention or just made a simple mistake, you're going to lose your equipment and you're going to have to reset it, and you're going to have to pay the prices for dealing with that. And not only that, but being able to get from island to island, you had these kind of like built up fjords that you could cross into the various islands. You can see the kind of little ridgeways that are leading from your main island where your farm is located, going up to the northern island. And there's sail points and all this stuff. I mean, and what was really awesome about this map is the ingenuity that was all laid out throughout the map. So here we have the main starting farm, and as you can see, all the details that are built onto this map. You can see the cars and the junk and the logs that are just here, just taking up space. It is just a incredibly rundown, beaten up farm that needs to have a bunch of work done to it. You can see the main house here in the middle has all the windows boarded and slatted up. You can see the junk cars off to the side there. You can see the junk tractors, all the trash that's piled up around everything. And all of this can be dealt with and taken care of and cleaned out by cutting these little trees that have these little ribbons. They're little red ribbons around the trunk of the tree that you just cut those down, and all of a sudden, boom, it changes and makes the farm more clean and usable. And the whole farm has all this product that's just laying around. So you can see piles of straw right here in front of the hayloft, and you can pick them up off the ground, and then you can utilize them for various bits around your farm. there's all sorts of product that is just kind of strewn about the entirety of the farm that you can then pick up and utilize. And it was incredible because, I mean, it was a good amount too. It wasn't like it was just, just, oh, here's like 5 liters here, there's 10 liters there. We're talking hundreds if not thousands of liters in certain cases depending on the product. And there was still plenty of area on the farm for you to build up and make it your own and to just breathe life into it. It was incredible to do. And this picture here shows just how much of disarray that your main fields were. All these trees are right smack dab in the middle of your fields, and you had to clear out every single one of these trees in order to be able to fully utilize your fields. I mean, they were so bunched up in places that you would not even begin to consider even utilizing even a portion of the field until you did this. And it was one of the first times where I saw a map maker. I think it was the only time I saw that a map maker actually kind of like really prevented you from just getting right to the farming aspect. They're like, nope, you've got to deal with this prior to doing anything with the farm. And that was kind of the whole undergirding, underpinning kind of concept behind this map is you've got a lot of work to do before you can even get to work. Like that was what was so crazy about this map. And again, there's just so many revolutionary features, and this is one of them, is that work before you work kind of thing. And here's one of those revolutionary features, the grain boat. You actually had the ability to use boats on this map and be able to take them to specific sell points that were only accessible by these boats. There was not only the grain boat, but there was also the barge, and the barge could be utilized to transport equipment from point A to point B, but it could also be utilized to transport things like logs to be able to be sold, again, at a different sell point that was actually at an elevated price point for said products. So if you're using the boats, you're going incredibly slowly. You are going to get there far faster to a sell point if you were to just use your main equipment, tractors, trucks, etc. But you're going to receive a far lower price when everything's said and done for those same products. It was worth loading them onto these bits of equipment that were unique to this map. Not only that, but you can see in the screenshot way off in the distance behind this billow of smoke that there's something in the water, and that's actually a shark fin. This was one of the first times where instead of having just pedestrian traffic or just traffic in general, that there were actual objects that were kind of being traced all through. And I'm not saying that this is the first that it has ever happened, but the first time I noticed that there were other things that were being animated into the game to kind of make the map come to life beyond the fact that you were doing something that the map was already existing and alive. Even when you think that something on this map is going to be just kind of bare bones and basic, you have facilities like the biogas plant area where you pull in and you just get these stunning views all around you, whether it's the open water that's behind it, the kind of built-in rock faces that you just kind of have this natural carving in for the buildings and stuff. So it looks like there's like a ton of effort that went into building this facility, and again makes it feel big and imposing. I mean, there's just so much that is going on this map. And as the description mentioned, there were these gold bars that you could go around and collect throughout the entirety of the map. There are 25 of them. And then you would actually transport them. This is like the first time I got introduced to this kind of concept of the collectibles. And I just thought it was such a cool idea to be able to go around instead of the FS25 version where you just find them, click on them, and then you get paid. You actually had to collect them, transport them to a sale point, and in this case, it was a conveyor belt on the North Island there, and it was like the gold prospector, and you would then let it eat the gold bar, and then you get paid out for the as compensation. It was such a unique idea. I thought it was so cool to be able to do that. And again, it's just one additional thing that was just super special about this map. And again, just the natural beauty that was a part of this map. Not only do you have all the water features, all the special features, the ability to build up the main starting farm and have something to show for your effort besides just the actual work itself. you had the nice flowing natural beauty that was a part of the landscape. The toned down docile colors that were a part of it made it feel just nice and welcoming and warm without that kind of cartoonish feel that sometimes happens when you're seeing a lot of wildflowers or things like that. And again, it just made it to where the map was just not only, there were parts of it that were intimidating, there were parts of it that were exciting, there were parts of it that were beautiful. There was just a little bit of everything that was available on this map. And this one would be like an absolute screaming of a map to come to FS25 with all the new features, the water features that are on FS25, the fog, the weather events, all those kind of things that would happen on this map. If it could come to 25 and have that level of complexity to things, would just be next level. And this is all the maps from FS19 that I would love to see in FS25. So now that we've gone through all the FS19 maps that I would bring to FS25, now let's set our sights on FS22. And from here, we need to first look into the skies. I'm talking about Mars the Mission by Farmer Bob and Superfly 1842. Now the description reads, "Welcome to Mars Colony Commander. This map is all about survival, so let's get started. 12 farmlands, 22 fields, 5 custom productions, oil plant, grain mill, spinnery, bakery, and grape processing. Electronic plant, grain dryer, 500 cow custom cow barn, 500 pig custom pig barn X2, 500 sheep custom sheep barn X2, 800 chicken custom chicken barn, 2 large custom greenhouses, underground facility garages, field contracts, 21 collectibles, including 1 special rocket collectible, 2x custom header rack, custom underground bunker home with storage facility and workshop, fuel refinery producing diesel from methane and water, full mining operation including stone, processing sluice and smelting plant, power plant producing electricity from various products, amazing train station with hydraulic lifts and sell point and mission parameters with dynamic progress screen, futuristic custom train with grain loader pallets and tanker liquids wagons, 3x large oxygen scrubbers to clean the entire dome environment to keep the air breathable, producing CO. Custom storage racks to store stacked goods in various places on the map, futuristic implements sheds and open sheds located strategically to park vehicles and implements during cold nights, 16x wind turbines and 8x large solar panels to supply electricity to the base, custom Martian lights to supply ample light on the barren, desolate planet, enormous crane with animated rotation and a lift in the center to go to the top of the crane for an awesome view of the entire crater, Mars lander spaceship bringing new visitors and farmers from Earth to our base, huge starship with that is launchable from the command center, which brings and takes massive cargo loads and vital supplies to and from Earth. 4x sell points, customized start from scratch mode to really test your survival skills and build this amazing base the way that you want it yourself. Use the export to Earth port to sell your products and fruits to Earth and the colony food storage for storing your fruit for the colony." And here's the map for Mars the Mission, and this map is absolutely incredible. This was one of the most, I think, out of the box thinking that a map maker did for Farming Simulator of I think of any map, bar none. So you have all the field work that you can do. You own the entirety of the crater, so there's not a single plot of land that you don't start out with, which is really kind of cool yet overwhelming at the same time because there's a ton of work that needs to be done. And then you've got everything on this map is custom. Everything from top to bottom. There's nothing on this that is kind of basic or in base games. I mean, you've got all these biomes that are on the kind of eastern side of the map there that have like all your animals and kind of greenhouses and stuff like that. You've got the kind of massive biome on the left side of the screen there. That's kind of like your shop area and all that stuff. You got this futuristic hover train that'll kind of go around the map. You've got a stone like gravel pit up on the upper portion of the crater there. You've got just all sorts of different things around here. You got custom productions, like everything is basically custom with tons of different outputs that are again custom to the map. I mean, it is just incredible. There's not a single thing that was not kind of unique on this map. And here you can start to see the uniqueness of this map. You've got the surface of Mars where you're just kind of built into this massive biome, just having work to be done. The one thing that kind of drew me to this map as to opposed to some other maps that kind of made a leap in the kind of farm simulator space is that this map in theory could one day happen. So it was one of those where, yeah, this isn't necessarily like space simulator or anything like this, but one day we as humanity could reach beyond our own planet and start farming on other planets. Having to sustain ourselves in some way, shape, or form off planet kind of thing. So I just thought that that concept all by itself was amazing. It was really cool. And the fact that the map makers spent so much time in creating something that was utterly unique in every regard. This yellow cord that is wrapping around the side of the crater here, that is the train line. That is where the train kind of hovers around and pulls in and out of the stations. You've got these custom barns and buildings that are like this one here, this dome. This is the sawmill for you to be able to cut down all these trees that are planted over here and be able to utilize the sawmill production over here. You've got all the custom production points, as I mentioned before. That big dome in the back corner over there, that's where your shop and stuff are, with a sell point tucked away back in there. I mean, there's just so much stuff that's going on in just this one screenshot. You can see the giant rocket on the outside of the major biome here, and that will launch if you go into the command center to launch it. It just, the whole planet just lights up in this fiery red glow from the rocket just taking off, going off to Earth. It's incredible. So because of the kind of nature that is this map, it's not a absolutely huge map. You can kind of see, looking from a different angle, this is kind of the main hub right there in the center of the map. And you've got all the kind of rocky terrain with the massive stones and boulders that are right in the way. Those things you can't delete and you can't expand out, but the whole purpose of the map isn't necessarily to expand because you already own the entirety of the map. The purpose of this map is to be able to survive and be able to produce the products needed in order to complete a challenge. And the challenge is to basically terraform the entirety of the planet within 20 years. And that you need to be able to cut down 10,000 trees, 20 large beehives, 500 cows, 750 chickens, 350 sheep, 400 pigs, and 800,000 liters of each of any 6 crops in your storage bins. And there's an interactive marker that tells you that you've met those parameters to be able to say that you have successfully terraformed the planet of Mars. Again, this is just an amazing map. It is very unique. There is no other map like it, and would love to see this one come out for FS25. So here's a better look at those biomes here, and these are all the kind of custom pastures and like little barns and all this stuff for your animals. And you can see right here at the bottom, there's the cow pasture with the feeding robot right there. And you got to be able to get in and out of them through these tunneling systems that are kind of laced throughout this. And it's just a very kind of futuristic, very unique kind of look on things. Again, everything on this map is customized. Nothing is a kind of standard kind of fare in the world of Farming Simulator. And again, all that level of detail, all that effort that is put in is what makes this map so unique. and so special. And right there in the center of the picture is this massive crane. And this thing just kind of lazily spins around, the entirety of the planet and the entirety of the crater. And in the center of it, you're able to call down an elevator and get way up to the very top portion of this crane, and you get such an amazing view of the entire biome. It is incredible. Again, just those small details like that, being able to go up to the very top and look down and be able to see the entirety of everything regardless of where you're looking at, is just an awesome feature that, again, the map maker didn't have to do whatsoever, but the fact that they did it just shows that they really paid attention to the level of details that were necessary for this map. And here we are again with a closer view of the rocket that can leave the planet and take goods away from here to Earth. Again, it is just such a cool little concept to be able to launch this thing out and just see the entire sky just turn into this fiery glow. I mean, it is just such an amazing feature. Again, those small details that this map has that really sets it apart from anything else. And again, this is something that could happen in the future. Colonizing other planets would be an incredible feat for the human race. And this could be how it looks, kind of thing, is just this massive undertaking of people coming together to basically, like, okay, here we are on another planet. Let's make this work. And I'm all for it. I'm totally for it. And I mean, these are just some small reasons why I'd love to see this map come to FS25. The next map we have here is New Lands by Gwendol. The description reads, "Welcome to a new adventure on New Lands. Here you will create your own agricultural, arboricultural, and horticulture, or even your own unique processing plant. You will also have to collect and sell waste scattered all over the map, 28 fields which are mainly intended for missions. One small basic farm to start your adventure. The majority of the plots are to be cleared and dedicated to the creation of your fields. The city, Gwayville, has a lake where where it's possible to make a mission of grass. The collectible objects on the map are present with waste to be sold. Point of sale of grass, cereal, and productions. The seasons system remains the basic one of the game. 3 sawmills, 1 BGA, a nursery with 3 different production units, trees, plants, and fruits/flowers. Several storage places for productions. Train system on the map. 5 factories available for purchase on the map. A highway crosses the map for faster travel. 1 firewood factory to sell to the inhabitants of the map, 1 boiler room to feed with wood and wood chips. Make Terre-O for your greenhouses with vegetable soil and bio-waste and biomatter. Production of Terre-O to sell to the inhabitants or to use in your greenhouses." So when looking at the map, one thing that you'll notice is that there are next to no fields on this map. And really, the only fields that actually exist are along the highway right here. You've got this massive highway that kind of stretches from the southwest corner to the northeast corner of the map, and all the fields that could be purchased, actual like numbered fields, are all along here. And what this map is a new unique concept that you're not necessarily a farmer, but more of a city worker. And your job is to come out here and to mow grass, to maintain the highway system. And then on the side, your job is to try and get established as a farmer of some sort. You've got this massive forestry area right here in the middle of the map. The town in the north there is just a really unique setup. And the way that the map maker actually went about doing things is that each one of the town folks here, the residents here, are their own production point, and every single one of them produces things like slurry and food waste and all this stuff and garbage bags, and you can collect them to be able to sell them off and do all that kind of stuff, or you can use like the slurry for your own purposes going forward, kind of thing. It's a really unique concept to be able to actually have the input of the actual factory points being the townsfolk. It's again, you're supposed to be like this city worker, so you're supposed to go through and collect all the trash, all the food waste, all the slurry, and it's your job to dispose of it, kind of thing. And then this map had something that was so unique that I'd never seen before in Farming Simulator 22. And what it was these piles of trash that were kind of strewn about the entirety of the map, and you could collect those and actually utilize them as sale parts. You could take them up to the recycling center and actually sell them off for a profit. It was actually just a kind of a unique system. And then there was a bunch of different production points that were unique to this map. Terra O was one of the kind of staples of that system, being used in like your greenhouses, or you could use it to be sold. And then you had to produce a taro, and you need a specific actual things from the map in order to produce it. You had I think it was some kind of soil that was down here at the bottom left hand corner of the map that was just kind of hanging out there, and you had to purchase the land in order to get it off of the ground and then utilize it for the taro productions downstream. It was such a unique kind of take on the farming simulator side of things, because again, you're not really a farmer, you're something else. And this is the look of the highway that's right there in the middle of the map. And all this grass area that's along the side of the highway, those are the fields I was talking about earlier. And those are the missions that you can do in order to make money kind of going forward in your kind of path of being a city worker slash farmer. And it's just again a unique concept. It's basically all of it's grass work. I don't think there's even a single field for you to kind of do anything other than grass work. But once you get all that stuff, you can build up a huge supply of hay and silage and all that stuff to be able to then turn that into TMR for cows and all that. I mean, you can do a ton of stuff, and you can really build it up really, really fast. Now, that wouldn't necessarily be the same in FS25 because of the new systems that are in place, but in 22, you were able to really get a lot of product very, very quickly. Another unique part of this map was the fact that you had these giant greenhouses that were specific to this map that had outputs that were only available here. And those things were like eucalyptus and bonsai trees. You had things like flowers and all sorts of different outputs that were just not a part of the base game. And it was kind of revolved around this whole Terra-O system that was developed for this map. And so it was basically your kind of main base for your potted plants and stuff like that. It was a really cool system. So you had to have a bunch of this taro on hand before you could even start on this portion of the map to get your greenhouses and kind of nursery underway. And this was kind of the main hub of your operations. This is where you would actually kind of stage yourself in order to be that kind of city worker. You know, you had your kind of unloading points for your train silos. You had an actual sell point that was tucked away in here. You could sell various other products and all that. I mean, it was just a really cool kind of area to be in. And you even had like a loading, unloading area for like flatbeds and stuff like that. It was just, again, it was really kind of a unique area to be in. And it was intended to be kind of quote unquote your starting farm per se. Like it wasn't actually a starting farm as much as it was that it was the hub for the city workers. It was just a cool concept. Again, Gwendol did a fantastic job with this and really thought outside of the box for Farming Simulator 22. So also available on this map was this kind of farmer's market. And this farmer's market, you could sell pretty much every single individual product at the market. But what was interesting is that in order to be able to sell it, you only had a few hours of availability, and it was kind of like the staging time. So you would bring all the product to the vendors, and then you would sell it to said vendors using that kind of sale tactic. But you only had like between the hours of like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. to be able to utilize this specific thing. So it was a very unique kind of, again, unique is a very common word to use for this map, because again, I can't think of a single map that was like this, to where you had a very specific window of sale points for a specific item here. And sometimes this was the only place where you could sell certain products. So you had to kind of take advantage of that time and get up, bright and early to get out here in order to make it for the sails. Otherwise, there were bollards that were in front of the entranceway, and if you didn't have the ability to get through them, well, then you're basically waiting until the next day, kind of thing. And this is where you can see that kind of forested area that I was talking about and the recyclables. So you can see the little pile of trash that's right in the kind of off center of the screenshot here. And all these things are tagged with this little green recycling symbol. And you could collect all this, put it into your truck or into a trailer, whatever the case may be, take it up to the recycling center and you can sell it off. You weren't making a fortune off of this stuff, but it was essentially just a new way to have collectibles. And it was very eerily similar to how Alien Jim set it up for Spectacle Island in FS19, to where you actually had to grab the collectible and transport it over to be able to then get paid for it. And you had a completely unique pay rate depending on what item it was you brought over there. You had like car husks that were available on the map, and if you got those picked up and put around to the recycling center, you made a good amount of money on those. But then others were like wooden boards or barrels or things like that that were just, super cheap. But hey, if you are dedicated to kind of cleaning up the map and making it look as good as it can be, well, there you go. You can make a little bit of cash on the side. And all this is why I really love this map. Not only that, but I actually did a series on this back on FS22. It was right before all the latest implements and changes were made. So I kind of felt a little gypped that I went through this entire series and then all of a sudden, boom, a big update comes out and it's all this awesome stuff with tarot, recycling. I mean, pretty much anything and everything that was kind of included in the latest iteration of this map, I missed out on. And I was so gutted when I saw all these updates come through. So the next one we have here is Gatehead Farm 22. This is by MJ Modding, converted by Marv. Now this map's description reads, welcome to Gatehead Farm 22. Gatehead Farm is a fictional map based around Scotland. This map includes the following: 137 fields, small, medium, large, 8 farms, 3 yards, BGA, dairy production point, ownable campsite, 3 New Holland dealer, animal market, 11 sell points. All farm sheds made by MJ Modding, custom traffic, custom road textures, multi-terrain angles, multi-fruit. Thank you to all contributors listed in the contributor tag on the mod description for supplying textures. All additional fruits: alfalfa, beans, buckwheat, chickpeas, lentils, linseed, millet, mustard, onions, peas, poppies, rye, silage, sorghum, spelt, triticale, red and white clover, Benji FS maize texture, bullet bill wheat, barley, oat, and canola texture. All crops have tire track damage. Collectibles. All cows and pig farms features manure heaps inside the sheds. All sheep need straw as bedding. Rain sounds on shed roofs. Lanes are covered when snow falls, and winter weather includes both rain and snow. Base game only has snow for winter. Custom made hedges made by Marv. Mainly many animated details, both small and large. Scottish number plates. 1 forestry zone. Custom growth calendar based on the UK growth timing. Water purchase at the lake, river, and ocean. DLC crops built in. Custom animal foods. And when looking at this map, there's so many things to kind of take in. Along the eastern portion of the map, there is a huge coastline and a bunch of sale points and stuff along the town road there. You've got all sorts of farms that are just kind of smattered all throughout this map, so you can pick and choose whichever one that you want to be able to utilize. You have your main kind of shop area out to the west there, and just the road network is just nice and windy, twisty. There's certain areas that are very compact and tight. There's others where it kind of opens up and allows you to breathe. I mean, it's just an incredible map, highly detailed, so many features and things that are going on in it. And not only that, but you also get the really cool feature of swimming fish, just kind of like going around the creeks and the rivers and stuff. And it's something that kind of stood out to me on the map. It really kind of took me off guard when I saw it. It's like, I don't ever recall seeing that to such a degree. I think I've seen it in the past, but it was very few and far between. So to see that kind of detail on a map was very nice and welcoming to see. So looking at this one, you can see just how much beauty that there is on this map. There's so much area on it that just seemed just peaceful and tranquil and just serene at times. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the kind of stonework that is all throughout this map, kind of laced in amongst the farms here. I mean, it is just an incredible, incredible sight. The color palette is very toned down. You do get a hint of color here and there, but it's not overwhelming, so it doesn't give you that cartoon feel. And the undulations on this map are really, really good as well. Nice, natural, flowing kind of texture along this map. So not much to see in this one, but you can kind of see the details of that kind of coastal area along the eastern portion of the map. This kind of boardwalk area with the nice lit electrical poles, all that stuff is just, again, is a very breathtaking day or night. There's a lot of detail on this map. And yeah, it is definitely one I'd love to see in 25. So not only does this map have tons of detail on it, but everything about this map just makes it feel like it's alive. You got so much detail, all the kind of shop area up here with all the equipment, all the cars, all the debris, all the kind of built up, stacked up equipment and stuff. It just makes it look like there's a bunch of stuff going on. And again, this map is not lacking in detail whatsoever. And no matter what time of year, you're going to have a load of stuff to do. You can see in the winter time just how the kind of shrubbery kind of disintegrates and just kind of schliffs off all of its leaves, leaving kind of the main kind of structure of the bush kind of behind kind of stuff, along with all the trees and all that stuff. Like, it's just a kind of natural molting of the trees and the bushes themselves, and just makes the again, the landscape just feel alive, like there's something going on, because there's so many of the bushes, so much stuff that can kind of wither away kind of thing. It just really makes the seasons pop. And then here, a nice look at the sea, where that kind of town and beach area are. I mean, again, very gorgeous map. You've got a very nice area all the way around between the undulations and everything that's going on, and you have these planes that will do the flyovers, which you can see here on the right hand side there. It's cool that you kind of get to see, again, these little features. You got the boats and ships that will go through the harbor here and just kind of go through the channel and get out to sea. It's just, again, it's such an amazingly gorgeous map. I would love to see this come back to 25. And the thing about this map is that it came so late in the cycle to 22 that for somebody like me, I didn't even get a chance to enjoy this map. I basically got to do a tour and an update video for this, and that was it. And I wish I would have had more time with this. I wish that this was out for 25, so that way I had enough time to be able to actually make a series on it and play on it, because this one is gorgeous. The next map is Galgenberg by Yogi, and the description reads, "Welcome to Kirshen, a district of the large district town of Aachen-Gingen-Donau, on the edge of the Schwäbisch Alb." The map is based on the scenic depiction of the place, with an original replica of the main courtyard and the course of the streets. What awaits you on the map? One original replica of the largest farm on site, 6 more playable courtyards, 1 free place to build a farm, 100 fields, meadows, and forest areas where everyone can get their money's worth, various outlets such as the country store, small productions such as the allotment or apple orchards, small BGA horse farm. You can take water from the ponds or rivers, forests for the tree hoppers amongst you are plentiful, ready for precision farming. So when you look at the map, there's a whole bunch of stuff to take in. This map was incredible. You had a bunch of forestry areas, loads of different fields to work on, which means you had tons of maps, tons of contracts, and tons of opportunity to make money. Not only that, but then you had over, I think it's 8 separate farms that you could choose from, H1 being your main farm, and then all the various H's are all the individual farms themselves, as well as a buildable, the B1, that's a buildable area for you to build up your own farm. There's tons of opportunity on this map, and there's tons of natural beauty. So much so that when I first came onto this map, it literally took my breath away. I was in shock. I had to actually take some time to just kind of sit there and absorb it. When I first went in for my walkthrough, it was incredible. So this is a portion of your main starting farm, and not only do you get like custom productions that are right here on the farm built into these custom barns and buildings. I mean, you get all this different stuff. And not only that, but you had all these triggers that were kind of laid out throughout the farm that would allow you to put in and out of silos, turn on steam for your manure heaps. Like, there was just a ton of stuff, tons of detail that were available on this map that was just incredible. And when looking at this map, details, details, details. You had these greenhouses and gardens that were available for you to purchase and be able to utilize them for actual production points. You can see the large hillscape in the background there. Just the rolling hills, the mountainsides. I mean, absolutely beautiful, this map. And again, it made you think about, okay, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get the product from point A to point B? How am I going to get it off the fields? Because the fields have big undulations in them. It was a very much a map that made you think. And again, the winter on this map was equally as impressive and beautiful as the summertime. Looking at this picture here, you can see just all the detail that's all throughout the map here is just absolutely picturesque regardless of the time of year. And yet another example here of the nice rolling hills. You got the kind of nice tapering down into the valley down in the southern portion of the map. I mean, and again, these kind of fields are going to make you think. Not only are you going to have to consider all the kind of different ways that you're going to have to be able to mow or be able to harvest, whatever the case may be, these fields, but then at the same time figure, well, I need to get a vehicle or a set of equipment that's going to have a little bit more oomph, a little bit more power to it, because I need to be able to get up these hills or else I'm going to get stuck, or whatever the case may be. And having a map like this for 25, when you got ground deformation, when you got the mud textures and the slippage of the wheels, all that stuff would just be next level good. And again, here you can just see the perfect encapsulation of the natural beauty that is part of this map, along with the kind of artificial beauty with the productions and homes and just everything that's kind of built up in this map. You get the nice sweeping undulations, the barns and buildings that just kind of nestle just really nicely into the kind of background in the hillsides there. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic, this map. The map maker Yogi did a fantastic job on making not only the natural come out, but the artificial as well. And what I mean by that is just the blend of the town of the map versus the kind of natural landscaping and beauty of it. I don't know how they did it. I don't know, like, but they're good. They're really good. And there's so many Yogi maps that just have the ability to have that natural beauty as well as that kind of, artificial town set beauty. It is next level good, and this map would be an amazing addition to 25. And here we are on the last map that I would love to see come to FS25, here from FS22, Evergreen Valley by Zero Ito. And the description reads, "Welcome to Evergreen Valley. Evergreen Valley is a fictional place situated in a unique geographical region that offers a fascinating mix of economic activities. The North is home to mines that extract a variety of valuable mineral resources, contributing significantly to the region's economy. To the south, the topography smooths out to give way to a vast expanse of fertile land. In this region, agriculture is the predominant activity. Evergreen Valley thus stands out as a place where nature harmoniously joins human activity, creating a unique atmosphere that combines the harshness of mining with the beauty and fertility of agricultural lands. The map contains 39 new products, trained various points of sale to sell everything, 41 purchasable plots of land, 31 fields, collectibles, and more. To produce energy, the production of energy necessary for various productions to function using a generator or a coal plant to produce energy. Use the distribute function to ensure that the energy reaches your productions. And this is Evergreen Valley, and this map is absolutely incredible. And I had a real hard time between picking this one or Black River from Zero Edo. Both of them I would love to see in FS25, but this one I think kind of edged it out because of the unique kind of terrain and landscape that we have both in the north of the map, where you have the various styles of mines. You have the kind of classic mine in the southwest corner. In the north, you have a more of a marble mine, and then on the northeast corner you have kind of a coal mine operation. So you've got all this various styles of mining up in the north there, all the various products and productions that are available that are unique to this map. And then down in the south portion of this map, or even just south of that to the southern portion, you have all the various styles of farms that you can have, all the farm and arables and all that stuff. It is just an incredible map, an incredible example of what can be done for Farming Simulator 25. And this was back in 22. So imagine all the stuff that we could do now with this map. It is awesome. You get a really nice starting farm that's kind of located here on the southern portion of the map. I mean, it's just, there's so much that's going on this map. And then for a lot of the production points, you have to produce power, which means you got to have a very specific production point right at the very beginning. So, I mean, it's just one of those where, you know, the between the productions kind of feeding into one another, the main areas of farming, having the ability to kind of do some forestry if you want, is really cool. And then on top of it, there's also little insider references on this map that points to the city of Frontier, which for those who are familiar with Zero Ito's work will know that Frontier is the map that's the city behind the walls, kind of in the post-apocalyptic version of the game. So very, very cool. I really like how there's kind of the unique references beyond this map, but into other works that Zero Ito's done. And here you got the little town area with various sell points and all that's, I mean, it's just a really kind of nice built up area where you're able to kind of utilize all the sell points, production points that are located right here. And it just makes, again, it makes the map feel like it's alive because there's just so much going on in this area. And then you go away from it and you got the farms to the left, you got the mines to the right. It is just awesome. It's just an absolutely incredible map. And as we pan out a bit, you can see the town that we were just looking at right there. You've got the main farm just behind the river. On the other side of the river right there, you've got this huge facility out before the river. I mean, it's just, there's so many contrasting points to this map. And you also get these unique circular fields as well, where you can actually implement those pivoting sprayers and stuff within that. Again, very cool thing to add to this map. It's just, again, one more detail that's now available on this that many other farms and fields don't have. Now, looking towards the north in the mining areas, you got this coal mine that's here towards the bottom of the screen. And then you have, beyond that, you have the marble mine and all that. And then beyond that is the regular stone mine. So you just get all this various different shifts in the types of mining, all the production points that are laid throughout the mining area as well. So you can really kind of decide how you want to proceed on this map, whether you want to stick to the north and mine, if you want to go to the south and farm, or if you want to go throughout the map and kind of clear out some of the trees and stuff and do some forestry. You got tons of options. So this is kind of a more front and center look of the stone mine in the northwest corner of the map. And beyond that, you can see in the distance all the fields and stuff that are just kind of laid low in the valley there. Again, just so much stuff that's going on, so much beauty, both natural and man-made. And the fact that the mines themselves are just so intricate, you're going to have to sit there and do a lot of kind of investigating before, just kind of diving into any of these as production points. And again, more in the ways of the productions where you got the kind of biofuels down here in this area of the screenshot down towards the bottom there. You got the river that's kind of midway through. You got the massive city in the background being Frontier. Again, the kind of wink and nod and smile to another map that was created. So this, in the Frontier version of the game, would be just completely nothing but desolate, kind of in the aftermath kind of thing. But that being the shining beacon on the backdrop there, being Frontier. But this is like pre world destruction, so it's again just that kind of wink and a nod that if you're paying attention, this map does very well. And these are all the maps that I would love to see implemented in the world of Farming Simulator 25. And there's the possibility that some of these have been announced, that some of these may be coming. I am not certain on any of these, if they are or if they aren't, but it's one of those where I would welcome all of these with open arms, because I think that, I think all of them are special and amazing. From 19 to 22, would love to see them here in 25. And that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this video, and do you agree with some of these? Do you think that some of these would be an amazing thing to add here to FS25, or do you think there's other ones that may be more deserving? If any of them kind of stick out to you, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I would be genuinely interested to see what your perspective is on maps that you would love to see come back from Farming Simulator past to the current. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please show me by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things the algorithms enjoy you doing. Shows you're engaged with this channel and enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care.